In this video, I'll look at adding some extra lights into the scene. Now you may look and say, wait a sec, I've got daylight going, actually a daylight system with a wraparound sun and sky. Why do I need extra lights? There's places in here that could use a little perk. And part of what we do in a rendering is not just simulate things exactly, but add in a little extra light here and there to really make a scene shine where we want. This is what we call theatrical lighting, where we're making it look right to the shot versus a design visualization, for example, an exactly physically correct render, which even those may have a little plus added to them for a little extra romance. What I'll do here is start to add in some additional point lights under some of the leaves, so places like right here in the middle of the screen aren't quite so heavy looking. I'll go on my Create tab on the Command panel and over to Lights and down to Photometric, and I'll make a free light and click once right in the screen, right-clicking to stop creating and pressing W to move. I'll pull this light up just under those leaves and maybe over to the side just a little bit. In a top view, we can see this light, and I'll go to a wireframe by pressing F3. Pressing Z zooms extents, and there's this light underneath that plant. What I'll do here is start to put some lights under my major plants to perk up those leaves a little bit. Although we are bouncing light off the ground, what we need here is a little extra power in the bounce light under leaves so they're not all dark. I'll go into my perspective by pressing P and zoom in under this cluster of low growies here. It looks like I also have a minor goof to fix where I have a flower passing through a leaf, and I'll pull that out. A lot of times what we'll do is sort of fix some things as we see them like this, pulling them back and forth and rotating as we need our painted objects. Now that the flowers aren't passing through the leaves, I can even make this flower face us a little more, and I'll try a quick render. I'll pull up my rendered frame window and make sure I'm rendering a region here. I'll size my region down, and if I need, I can look right here in my main view to get the region in the right place. This looks pretty good, as I'm just testing this local area. I'll hit render, and I'll see how this goes. This is better. What I can see here is that this light adds a little extra softness underneath these banana leaves. I could use extra light, or to move this light so it catches some of the stem of this flower as well. But compared to some of the other leaves that are very dark underneath, the extra light under here really works nicely. I'll add a few more in and see how this goes. The lights we're using here, and you can see when I select it, are photometric lights. I'll press Escape to get out of the region render and click on my light. What this is a light bulb actually. The default lighting in 3ds Max is photometric, and what that means is that these want to think as true light bulbs versus arbitrary light sources. Right now it says it's a spherical source and a D65 Illuminate, which is a reference white bulb. Depending on the color you'd like, you can choose a drop down here and put one in. For example, I may want something like a warm halogen, which warms up that little area, contributing extra yellow in the bounce here. I can play with the power of it with the candle power here. The default is 1500. As these are simulating bounce light, I'm not overly worried about an exact candle power relative to a true bulb as much as I am the scene looking right. I've left shadows off, as these are bounce lights that I don't want to cast shadows. The last thing that's helping me, which is built into the photometrics, is that they decay automatically. They understand they should behave like true light bulbs and fade off over distance, so this light is not going to brighten up everything in my scene, just this area, and it's muted down by the daylight as well. I'll press W for move and hold Shift and clone it over. I'm going to pull this light under some other leaves over here, as well as an instance probably works for now, so if I change one they both change. And I'll pull this down and see how this looks. I can also take my original and pull it forward. Here on the Y-axis might help a little bit so it brightens up that flower. I'll try another render. Again, going back to the rendered frame window and choosing my region, which will let me resize this just a little bit. Again, I can also resize right here on the screen and give it a quick test. What we can see here is that this light is helping in one place, giving me some extra shine on my flowers, but over brightening this leaf, so I need to pull it away and maybe reduce its intensity. I'll hit escape to get out of the region, pick this light, and pull it over just a little bit, and also back on this y-axis. What I can do as well, if I'd like, is to switch how this light behaves. Right now it's a sphere. I'm going to make it unique by clicking on the Make Unique button so that if I change one light, they both don't change. I'll change this light distribution type over here to Uniform Diffuse. And then I'll scroll up, and there's a shape and area. Instead of emitting from a point, I may want to emit from a rectangle, and aim this light up or down to brighten up those leaves. I'll press E to rotate, and flip this light around. What I can do is down here on the bottom on the Absolute Transform Type In, put in -180, zeroing that out. I can also adjust the size here, and I'll try 30 by 30. Now I'm going to try that region again and see how it looks. What I can already tell in the final gather is that this is looking better. I've got a nice warmth going on in the light, uplighting those leaves. And the spread area of that is really helping. Instead of a hot spot, I'm getting a nice softness going under there, and they're shadowing well. I don't mind the shine on some others, as this is a rather candy-colored and, well, candy-sheened or shiny forest, we'll say. And so a little bit of extra shine here is really helping the roundness pop out on my flowers. With this in mind, once I get the camera in, I can add some other lights, but I'll look for any major clusters or any other leaves and add more lights in, perking up those undersides as I need to make these shots look right.